I want to welcome everybody to the SA Smart Mayor's Challenge virtual launch for 2025. I'm Dr. Cliff Zintgraff. I am the Chief Learning Officer at SAMSAT, the chair of the SA Smart Challenge. And I want to welcome you all to our virtual launch event where we announce our theme, talk to some subject matter experts. So what we're going to be doing is getting a quick welcome on behalf of the mayor's office. We'll talk to our SA Smart lead, Giselle De Leon, here at SAMSAT. We will then do our panel, and you can see many of our panelists here. Those of you who are guests, you may notice that you're not able to turn on your video or chat. We may turn on your chat a little bit later if we have some time for questions from the audience. And then I'll do a little bit of a wrap up at the end. All of you should be seeing a screen share right now. This is the SA Smart website. The URL is sa-smart.org. If I could ask my team to type that into the chat, in case any of you are not aware of that URL, sa-smart.org. This is the nerve center for everything that you need to know about the SA Smart Challenge. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we proceed. But first of all, I want to welcome Alex Dixon from the Office of Mayor Ron Nirenberg and the person that we work with in the office on the SA Smart Challenge. Alex, if you could introduce yourself, let people know what you do for the mayor, and then maybe share a few words of welcome with us.
Yes, sir. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexander Dixon, Senior Neighborhood Engagement Officer with the Office of the Mayor. He sends his regards. He's honored to be a part of this initiative, I guess, since its inception, going on year 8. He wants to thank everyone for their time, their talent, their passion, and all the resources that they dedicated over the years, especially it going to real world issues here and just going through quality of life in the city we deserve. I mean, his tenure has been very important and instrumental in covering those bases, whether it's housing, environmental stuff, workforce. And so he's always been big on education and having education have that real world problems to actually solve in our city. So he's been honored to be a part of this, and I've been honored to be helpful in any way I have been, for this initiative. So I'm thankful to be here and honored to be with you all.
All right, thank you so much, Alex. Really appreciate it. And I'd also like to introduce to all of you, anybody who doesn't know her already, Giselle De Leon, our lead STEM educator here at SAMSAT, and our lead for the SA Smart 2025 program. Giselle, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here today. Thank y'all for coming.
So, Giselle, let's imagine that you're a student and we're in this challenge and you see this fairly significant list of possible topics that I'm going to bring up on the screen right now. If everybody is seeing that quality of life graphic, these are all the different topics. And we don't usually do it this way, but this year, because it's Mayor Ron's 8th year, we're revisiting all of our prior topics, plus adding 2 that our 2024 finalists found interesting and something that they wish to add. Those are housing and mental health. Now, Giselle, if it were you, which 2 would you work on?
If it were me as a student, I think I would choose the 2 topics that fascinate me the most, which would probably be water and sustainability. Just the other day in my neighborhood down the street, it flooded pretty bad. So I would try to think of probably something having to do with the aftermath of flooding. Like, one thing I noticed is a lot of trash in our streets, and something with indirect litter. If we can get some kind of messaging or maybe some program to kind of bring that issue more to light and kind of highlight being more sustainable and protecting our environment that we do have here in San Antonio.
All right. And I should know, I knew that Giselle had 2. That's why I said 2. You don't have to. In fact, you're supposed to pick 1, actually, just in case anybody's confused by that. But I think that's a great example, Giselle. And I hope that our students who are watching, this is a real life lived experience for Giselle. And this is the best way for you to approach thinking about what you'd like to work on in the challenge is, hey, you get around town, you're in your car, you're moving around. What do you see? What do you experience in the place that you live? Like Giselle experienced this not too far from where we're at near the Boeing Center at Port San Antonio, the neighborhoods that are in this immediate vicinity. So Giselle, thank you very much for sharing that perspective. I wanted all of you to know Giselle because if you're registered for this competition, you will be working with her. So Giselle, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And so now we are going to jump into our panel, and I want to welcome our panelists. Given that we have a number of panelists here, the way I'm going to approach this is ask each panelist to introduce themselves, who they work for, your title, and then introduce the topic that you want to cover. And I'm going to ask you a first question, and I'd ask you to keep your first answer to about 2 or 3 minutes. And that'll give us some time maybe for some follow-up or to ask anybody who's joined us online if they would like to ask any questions. So I would like to start with Jane. And Jane, I'm going to let you pronounce your last name since I'm just meeting you now for the first time. And Jane in particular, you work for the Area Foundation, and so you're out and you see a lot of things. And so if you could come at it broadly for us, what kinds of issues is the San Antonio Area Foundation addressing in the community through your foundation work?
Thank you, Cliff. Thanks for the invitation to be here. My name is Jane Paccione. I'm Managing Director of Collective Impact at the Area Foundation, and I get to work on an initiative called SAMSAT, which is Successfully Aging and Living in San Antonio. And we focus on 4 core areas, but the one I'm going to talk about today, because we're short on time, is housing and how housing affects people with disabilities and older adults. And we know that the U.S. Census Bureau has said that 2034 will be the first time in U.S. history that older adults outnumber younger people. So when we're looking at a quality of life for San Antonians who are aging, and thankfully we're all aging, what do we do when we have homes that have not been built to be accessible for all different types of abilities? And so we get to work on that at the Area Foundation, on trying to come up with solutions of how do we keep older adults and people with disabilities in community, close to the things they love. The other thing I will say is transportation. Transportation goes really hand in glove. And we know that the stats in America say that we outlive our driving abilities by 7 to 10 years. So what does that look like for people who aren't driving? How do we get to stay socially connected with each other, which we know is good for our health?
Jane, thank you very much for that perspective. As I noted earlier, this was one of the topics that our finalists from last year selected. And I just finished a program that some of you may be familiar with called LSA, Leadership San Antonio. And this topic came up constantly during the program, and just so many challenges. And they're not unique to San Antonio, but San Antonio certainly has, we as a city have our version of these issues. And it would certainly be worth your time, students and teachers, to work on this if you so choose. So in any case, thank you very much again, Jane, and perhaps we'll have an opportunity to come back to that topic. What I would like to do now is move to Lauren from Communities and Schools of San Antonio. And Lauren, likewise, I think I know how to pronounce your name, but I'm going to stay out of trouble and let you do it, and invite you to address the following question. CIS, Communities and Schools, is active in schools, and mental health is a big concern. How is Communities and Schools of San Antonio working on this issue, and how might students jump in? What would you see as opportunities and good ways for students to engage?
Thank you, Cliff, and thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be a part of this kickoff. Communities and Schools, one of our former employees, Natasha Wilkerson, was a big part of the SA Smart Challenge, and so I'm hoping I can help carry the banner for Communities and Schools on her behalf.
Shout out to Natasha Wilkerson, who remains on our board and a trusted advisor to me.
Fantastic.
Thank you for mentioning her.
Yeah. Now, of course, the work she's doing now globally is just phenomenal. So Communities and Schools, right? Our core model is where we place social workers and counselors on school campuses, and they are there all day, every day, right? They don't come on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They are embedded in the schools, and they do 2 core pillars of work. One is case management. Sometimes on a campus, you're going to have a subset of students who need more than school supplies. They need more than a new pair of shoes. They need a caring, consistent adult to understand what their complexities are, understand what their strengths and their beauties are, and to then help them over the arc of the school year to make sure they stay on track towards their academic, their behavioral, their attendance goals. So that's a big part of what we do, but we also do a lot of partnering and brokering because, as our name says, communities in schools, right? We have to make sure that we are that connective tissue to all of the other partners in the San Antonio community who provide amazing resources to students. One of the complexities we ran into back in the early aughts, and even before that, right? We've been around since the early 80s, and we know that many students who do need that higher level of mental health, we know that they have all kinds of access barriers. It's transportation, it's time, it's treasure, it's taboo, right? Like there's all of these different challenges. So when we would refer out to community partners, many times the students just couldn't connect with those services. So we decided, with collaboration with the community and some of our funders in the community, to pilot what would it look like for communities and schools to actually have clinical mental health professionals on staff. So we started in 2008 with one clinician. We today have over 50 budgeted, and that is probably in part due to a lot of the complexities that, you know, the rug was pulled back during COVID, and a lot of those issues were really laid bare for the community, but they weren't new to the community. And so we have been incredibly grateful to partner with our school partners, our funding partners, our city and county partners, as well as our other community-based organizations that provide clinical services to really create a web of accessible clinical mental health services for students, where those clinicians come to the campus and they serve the students at their campus in a discreet and private way. But then that way the student isn't taken off campus for multiple hours and then returning and having to catch up, right? It removes a lot of disruptions and barriers. And then on top of that, communities and schools is really intentional about making sure all of our staff are helping students with building their executive functioning skills, their social emotional skills, because even if they don't need clinical mental health, our mental health is health, right? It's a part of our body, and we just have to know, what does it mean to like name and tame our big feelings? What does it mean to be able to collaborate effectively, to communicate effectively? So those are other ways that we are playing in the mental well-being space.
So, yeah, so a question for you, where do you think is a good jump off point for the middle and high school students who will be addressing this? What are maybe some challenge, you know, some areas of growth that they could look at?
Absolutely. So we heard loud and clear, the city had its own youth mental health survey. And what we heard loud and clear in that survey is youth talk to other youth. And so how do we develop evidence-based or promising practices, like rooted protocols for youth to understand who they can go talk to on a campus, or if they talk to their friend and their friend is worried, who does the friend go talk to on the campus?
Right.
We're hoping to implement a model called Hope Squad. And so if there are any students who are really interested in these models or these approaches, I think it would be great for them to do some research and figure out how do they bring that to their own campus.
Oh, that's spectacular. All right. Thank you very much. And again, we may have an opportunity to get back to you in a little bit. But what we will do now is move to Nisi Bennett. Nisi, welcome to our panel. And let me also invite you to comment on this same topic. You know, you are I believe, a public health nurse. If you correct me, please, you know, make sure that I'm saying that properly. And so what are you out doing and what are you out seeing, and where would you recommend students jump in to this problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a public health nurse and I do specialize in mental health awareness and education. What I'm seeing is very similar to what Lauren just mentioned. You know, when we have mentally strong, healthy, resilient teams, we create the innovators and entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So any issues that we have that stem from pollution or, you know, just industries in general, we find that those children that have that mentally strong space are often the innovators in that. And so we are really leading the way in educating parents, teachers, community members about mental wellness, but I would charge the teens with really carving out their own space. You know, as adults, we sometimes think we know best. And the truth is, we teach teen mental health first aid with the local mental health authority here. And we've learned that teens do a really good job supporting each other if given the right tools and the right support system. And I would just encourage them to be more involved in that space and creating opportunities. You know, some of the things that come to mind is like a city map of hope, like where are good positive things happening? People want to say social media is bad, but a lot of teens find community and identity and social media. And I would just charge them to kind of like prove us wrong, show us that technology is really going to be our best friend, and how that can be paired with mental health in the future.
Well, thank you, Nisi. And that's a beautiful way for me to transition to our next panelist. I want to welcome Mari Zavala from Geekdom. And I just heard the word technology. Mari, as you come on, I'm going to reshare the quality of life graphic that is on our website and documents the different topics that our students can cover. And you know, I want to broaden it a little bit, Mari, as you come into the event. And I'm going to apologize to everyone. I'm kind of moving screens around here. Mari, are you here? Oh, yeah, there you are. You're here with us. Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. All right. Yeah, doing good. Doing good. So what I want to encourage you to do, you know, we're going to move beyond just the housing and mental health topics. We still include those, but I'd love you to address how, you know, what is this innovation thing that Geekdom is doing, right? An entrepreneurship thing that Geekdom is doing. And if you were to come at these topics, really social entrepreneurship topics, how would you address those topics in a way that is innovative and entrepreneurial in spirit?
Of course. Thank you for having me, Cliff. Super excited about this program. And as students, I know how important it is to have opportunities like this. So thank you for doing this for the students. I'm super happy to be here. So I'm Mari Zavala. I'm the Director of Partnerships at Geekdom, and I've been in the entrepreneurial small business ecosystem for the past 10 years. And what I would recommend you all as a student tackling different social issues and thinking as an entrepreneur and putting your entrepreneurial hat on is, as entrepreneurs, you're solving issues, right? You're solving problems, you're solving pain points. So think about those things that you live day by day, right? Like, is it transportation? Is it really hard for you to get to school, right? Or is it food insecurity, right? Like, how can we support other students that are going through food insecurity? And if you have classmates that are going through an issue like that, talk to them, try to understand the grassroots issue, right, that you're trying to solve. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're solving a problem, right? You're solving a pain point that somebody's going through. And I'll just share my personal story as well, because being in the entrepreneurial world, you just get very immersed in it, and you have to be careful because you become an entrepreneur yourself. So in my experience, I had a lot of issues with my daughter, my 2-year-old daughter, with food allergies and the accessibility of snacks and on-the-go food. And as a working mom and working parents and traveling a lot, it has been a real challenge for us to really find food that she can eat on the go and that healthy snacks that she can munch on. So I decided to start my own company and build allergy-friendly snacks and treats for kids. So it just really solving for an issue that's personal to yourself and personal to what you live day by day, right? It could really change the way you look at things. So I really encourage you to look at those things, and you might think they are insignificant, but a great idea could come out of it. And I'll share another story about one of our founders that we work with here. Her name is Melissa, and her company name is Waste Away, and she always constantly have issues in like trash, right? Trash issues, because her local trash pickup does not pick up the larger items that she had to dispose, right? So she just got frustrated. She got a lot of feedback from her community, from her neighbors and stuff, and the city does not pick up the larger trash items, right? So she created this tech innovative solution, and it's like an Uber but for picking up trash. So people in their personal trucks
Oh,
will
wow.
drive by and pick up
Mm.
trash that are larger and dispose of them properly, and charge a fee to do that, so that you no longer have the issue, right? So think about those things that you might think it's insignificant, and really try to think innovative in those aspects, because you might think it's just a tiny little pain point that you might have that could come a great idea or a great
Well, not,
business
yeah,
solution.
yeah, not, not every great entrepreneurial idea is launching rockets, right? It can
Correct.
be
Yes.
solving
Yes.
something very simple that's right in front of you, that when you stop and think about it, half the world needs it. And therefore,
Correct.
you can make a lot of, make a lot of money, or at least fund your own operations,
Yeah.
right? Which you always have to think about to bring things to scale.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask one more question and just kind of throw it out in general to our panel. And as I do that, I do notice we have at least one or two teachers and perhaps their classes watching. And so I want to invite one or two questions, depending on time. Certainly we could do one from our schools. But what I want to do is take this entrepreneurship topic and now kind of roll it back into housing and mental health. And let me ask our housing and mental health experts, if students were going to do research on these topics and try to establish that the ideas that they have work, what kinds of research might they do? And I'm kind of bringing this up because the thing that separates a good from a great essay smart pitch is a great technical research slide and a great market research slide. Technical, will it work? Market, even if it works, does anybody care? Will anyone use it? So let me throw that out to our housing and mental health panelists. Just jump in.
I think that there's definitely there's so much to do in housing that can be leveraged with technology, right? How do we help older adults and people with disabilities stay connected in community in their homes? How do we leverage technology to help them do that, right? To help us as we age. So I think that I was doing this project, which really feels exciting that I'd want to do it, I'd be looking up and out across the nation, but also in other countries. We're not the only country having an aging population, right? And having to look at that. So I definitely, and you can tell I'm from England, so I go and look at the English stuff all the time and bring.
I wasn't going to say
here.
anything, but yeah, I did kind of figure that out.
So I'm saying be broad with what you look at, and think big. I mean, if we solve this longevity challenge, right, of aging in our own homes, it's transformational for our whole community. So I think big and think transformational.
Thank you. And if I may say, we're very glad you're in San Antonio. Glad you're here. Somebody else is speaking. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think jumping in on the mental health side of things, from a research aspect, number one, just because mental health really is, it is something that you should be really thoughtful about how you approach it, how you talk about it, and what is the problem you want to solve, right? Needs to be really thoughtfully identified. One of the ways in which I would start with researching is talking to people at your school or in your community first. Really trying to get some qualitative feedback on what are the ways in which people may have experienced challenges with mental well-being or accessing mental health services. What are the ways the school maybe has tried different activities or interventions or processes to help support that? Did they work well? Did they not work well, and why? And really investigating what is the history of attempts and efforts to improve mental well-being or mental health. I would start there, right? And it could be qualitative or it could be quantitative. And then from there, if you are then
if you'll
identifying,
allow me
Oh,
real
sorry, go
quick, qualitative numbers, qualitative text and feedback and language, basically.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry. Go. I wanted to make sure our students understood that. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could do something qualitative like a focus group, right? Or just an informal conversation. And then you could do something quantitative, like how much did it cost to try that intervention? And is that a barrier to sustaining an intervention because we don't have the funds for it? And then I would research alternatives, look at the global landscape of what the different programs or projects or interventions are. And then from there, I think you'll be able to narrow down what meets the needs of your community and also is feasible, right, in order to implement.
All right, those great examples, and I'm just going to highlight most of our winning pitch decks have got great technical research slides with a lot of numbers on them. Not every team will really do that level of research, but it will make your pitch deck stand out if you do that. And then also go talk to your market and make sure that they are going to use what you are doing. So I think with that, I'm going to wrap up the panel portion and just cover a few quick items before we are out of time. Let me thank our panel. Thank you, guys. So a number of you with fairly recent notices or requests to join us, and we really appreciate you being with us. So what I would like to do just very quickly before we wrap up, we talked a lot about housing and mental health today, a little bit about entrepreneurship as well, and we did not really cover the other topics. So I would like to share with you that if you go to the SA Smart website and we look here at the top, there is a link called competition. And if you click this competition link, you go to a page, and this is where this page is actually answering several questions. This page is the nerve center of the, with all the files and things that you need to register and compete. And in particular, if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see a couple of sections on resources. Environmental quality and transportation were our two most recent topics. And so we have a number of links here. There is also a location called SA Smart Chats, which we will be adding to. Each year, Natasha Wilkerson, who, by the way, Natasha also develops our curriculum and our student handbook as well. And then each year she will do SA Smart Chats, little 10 to 15-minute interviews with subject matter experts that we post. And so in addition to this video being posted, you can expect to see more from Natasha. Now there's one new one out there already, which will bring me to another topic that I want to cover with you before we're done. We're doing something new this year. Since we will elect a new mayor this year, Mayor Ron has reached his term limit of 8 years. We are electing a mayor of SA Smart. Actually, 2 mayors of SA Smart, one for middle school city and the other for high school city. If you have heard what we're talking about today and you have ideas about how we could approach these things or how we should run the SA Smart program, you would like to suggest changes to the program or policies, have an opportunity to talk with your peers who are competing, this may be for you. And if you are interested, I encourage you to go to our website and go to the homepage. And when you are on the homepage, in several places, you will see things about running for mayor. And I would ask you to click those, and you will eventually get to a page that looks like this, that has all of the reasons and the rules and what the job description is and how to run and how we will vote for a mayor of middle school city and a mayor of high school city for SA Smart this year. And finally, I want to make sure you know how to register. If you're listening to this and you're ready to sign up, if you go to the homepage, actually, pardon me, if you click on the register link on any page, you will see a registration form. This form needs to be completed by a teacher or an adult sponsor. And now would be the time to get that done. We encourage you to get registered for the SA Smart Challenge. So once again, thank you to our panelists. I want to thank Giselle for being our lead this year and talking with us. Also, thank Alex Dixon from the mayor's office for his kind welcome. And team, students, we look forward to seeing you at the SA Smart Challenge Competition Clinic, January 23rd. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.